living to rise again. This is Patrick Riggins. You are tuned into the most consistent, most logical, and most reasoned radio show on the dial. Weekly, daily, monthly, doesn't matter. This show tops them all. And that's why you eagerly tune in here each week to hear what you aren't going to hear anywhere else. And that's common sense. That's really all it is. Common sense applied to the issues. Seems amazing to me that a show can be this successful when that's really all we're doing. Also tells you a little bit about the lack of common sense in America today. And I guess this show is really more than that, though. It's an education about what made this country great. The great American ideals of freedom and liberty. Those twin towers upon which our great American experiment have been built. How do you know that's what our country is built on? Well, despite what the media and the conservatives and the liberals, what they might tell you, it's just look at what these people attack or what they put under attack, even by those who would want to remake this country into a more government-centric, more tyrannical, centrally controlled state. It's freedom and liberty. That's what they attack. Why would they attack freedom if it wasn't the bedrock of this country? They would just be wasting their time. It would be like, in order to try and keep someone from driving their car to work, you're going to let the air out of their lawnmower tires. It has nothing to do with them driving the car. Same thing with freedom. If it wasn't something this country was built on, then the people trying to remake this country wouldn't bother with it. It'd be irrelevant. But, bother with it, they do. In fact, every day they are trying to remove more of your freedoms so that the government can take an even bigger role in your life. If you question that, just ask yourself this. What are the chances of getting the original Bill of Rights passed through Congress today? Maybe, slim to none? Can you imagine the restrictions the government would impose on us? They do it now without constitutional authority. So you can imagine what they would do if given the chance to rewrite the Bill of Rights. Not only the Second Amendment, but the freedom of the press would be severely curtailed. Just look at what Eric Holder has been up to with this whole AP situation, and now even Fox News. You wouldn't have any rights at all if it were up to the government. Even now, if you're deemed a terrorist by the government, and incidentally, they won't tell you how they come to that conclusion. The administration won't release the criteria that they can use to designate you a terrorist. But if you are given that designation, not only can you not fight it because you aren't given the chance in a court of law, but even if you were, the government has demonstrated already it will claim national security privilege in court, stating they cannot tell you how they know you're guilty, that you have or were plotting to do something, only that they have evidence that, hey, neither you nor the court is allowed to see. Sounds like something from almost a third world nation or a trial in the old U.S.S.R. It's scary, but that is happening right here in our country by our own government against our fellow citizens. We sit over here and talk about it, but it's all academic fun and games until it's you sitting in court. That is, if you even can get a trial, since terrorists aren't given a speedy trial, nor even allowed to see family or a lawyer. Doesn't that sound, just like a free country to you? Yeah, me neither. Sounds more like a banana republic, run by some despot, hell-bent on staying in power. The only difference is, instead of it being just one dictator you have to deal with, one huge ego, we're fighting against a whole government that's just hell-bent on staying in power, staying in control. No matter which side you're on, Republican or Democrat, they've all signed on to this government knows best train, and they're taking us all for a ride, whether we want to go or not. If the past few weeks haven't convinced you we have major problems in this government, I really don't know what will. We have had the IRS and Lois Lerner. She's saying, I'm not going to testify, but I'm giving a speech. Now I plead the fifth. But I haven't done anything wrong. Now, and it's come up now that the IRS has also been targeting families who have adopted children because they, gasp, they claimed an adoption credit. How dare they? Depriving the government of that revenue. There are just so many criminal things happening in this administration that we lose track of them all. It's just whatever is happening at the time. Everything else just seems like another one in the line of stuff here. Like we've had Fast and Furious. We've had just lately the IRS, the AP scandal, drone attacks. In fact, we're going to talk about Eric Holder admitting to killing Americans with those drone attacks. You can't blame Bush for all of that. You can't blame the Republicans in Congress. 100% of these problems could either be directly solved or 99% of the problem taken care of by the president if he wanted to. He certainly has no problem trying to take away our gun rights. As soon as we have a shooting somewhere or some idiot goes on a rampage, that's the first thing they want to do. He's trying his best through the executive branch to trample your rights when it comes to that. So if he can turn around and make all these speeches and bring families up there and try to push for this gun control and get that through, which he didn't, of course, but he uses the executive branch to try and implement gun control without going through Congress. So he can do all this other stuff, but somehow the Fast and Furious, IRS, AP scandal, all this stuff, that's out of his hands. What this comes down to is President Obama is either a criminal or he's incompetent. It's one or the other. Either all this stuff has been going on with his knowledge, if not outright approval, and that makes him complicit in criminal activity, or he doesn't have control of the executive branch of government. And that's his responsibility in government, the branch of which he is the head, the executive branch. He doesn't have control, thus making him incompetent. So he needs to choose, along with his supporters, well, which one is he? Either if he knows what's going on, like I said, then he's involved, complicit in criminal activity. And if he doesn't know what's going on, then he's demonstrating incompetency in his job. Either way, it doesn't say a whole lot for the president. But I digress. Coming up on the show this week, we have Eric Holder. As I mentioned before, he's admitted they have murdered American citizens with drone attacks. And if you don't realize how big a thing that is, that's admitting this government, the United States government, has engaged in the outright premeditated murder of Americans. So we'll have that. That was in a letter to Congress. Also some stuff about igniting the fire of liberty, something that we used to have in this country, and much more fun here on the Patrick Regan Show on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network. And when we come back, it'll probably be a couple of minutes here on News Talk 98.7 WOKI.
Getting born in the state of Mississippi, Papa was a